All right, we are live on air. So, sorry about the mix-up there. That was my fault. Yeah, just end the broadcast, and we'll just start back up again. No, we didn't realize. I didn't realize that you had to start a whole brand new Hangout. So sorry about that, everybody. So we are live, and Block 1 sessions went really, really well. So thank you to those who were participating in those sessions. It was a fantastic experience. And now we're in Block 2, and I'm with our pre-service roundtable group. And I'm very, very excited about this. So again, like I said last time, if for some reason we jump out or we're gone, we will post a new link onto the conference program. So just be patient with us as you have been this whole time, which we really appreciate. And we would like to thank you, the participants, for joining us. You are what makes this experience possible. And it's been an amazing experience, and the phys ed community has been absolutely wonderful. I'm just like so happy and so excited right now that how this is kind of all working out. It's even better than what I imagined and better than what we had planned. So thank you so much for your participation and for our group here. Kim unfortunately wasn't able to join us today, so I'll let them introduce themselves here right away. So first and foremost, I would just like to thank Spark for their sponsorship. Spark Programs is a research-based organization, and they are a partner with the San Diego State University and a strong, strong supporter of online professional development, and we thank them so much for their support. You can visit Spark's website, sparkpe.org, to learn more about different resources that you can have, online work or on-site workshops, and content-matched equipment. And actually, I have some Spark programs that I use at my school, and they're actually quite fantastic. I really enjoy them, especially the little task cards that I get to use when I do my circuit. So really, really neat stuff. Spark has graciously donated some prizes for our participants, so our live viewers. Which I forgot to do this last time. I forgot to put the link up. So hopefully, if I remember at the very end, I will put the link up to the survey, or we'll make sure that we tweet it out, or it's on our resource page, so you can check that out as well. And once you finish the survey, your name will automatically go into a draw for some really neat Spark prizes. We have a Spark DVD or dance DVD, a digital physical education program, one summer institute registration, which I believe is like $439, so really, really neat, and then a $150 gift certificate from the Spark store. So they have been graciously willing to donate that. And also, if you want your PD hours or if you need a PDU certificate, if you fill out the survey, it'll automatically give you your certificate. Just automatically email it to you. So if you need that, give us some feedback on how the conference went, what you think we could improve upon, what you thought went well, and what we should keep. And yeah, so I always do this. I forget to introduce myself. My name's Naomi Hartle. I'm a part of the Phys-Edagogy team and the Phys Ed Summit group. And just very, very excited to be here and to work on the back channel and listen to these fantastic people have a great conversation. So, Doug, I will push it off to you, and then we can kind of go Natalie and then Nieves. Then you can go next, and just introduce yourselves, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good. So my name is Doug Gleddy, and I am a professor at the University of Alberta. Go Golden Bears. Yeah, I work in the area of elementary physical education, but physical education in general, and I do research on people's experiences of physical education in the past, present, and hopefully future, as well as kind of joy-based phys ed and a bunch of other stuff. So that's the short piece, and I'm famous because I got to meet Naomi in the flesh at the conference in Winnipeg. So I have shooken the hand of greatness.
Oh, come on. It was very exciting to meet you. The best part is when you actually get to meet everybody and have a conversation with them, and you're like, you're a real person. You're a real person. I actually get to like have a conversation with you, and yeah, super exciting.
It is good, and I would like to invite everyone to come to Banff, Alberta, April 30th to May 2nd, 2015 for the National Health and Phys Ed Conference, which is happening there. So if anyone's able to make it, it'll be awesome. I just went through all the program stuff. It's looking amazing.
Awesome. Yes. I'm hoping to attend. I'm crossing my fingers that I can make it happen and make it work. So we will see what happens. But yes, I went to, the Winnipeg, and I also was able to go to Halifax. And it was a really, really neat experience. And especially for pre-service teachers, if you can go, the networking and the people that you could meet would be amazing. So make sure you try and check that out. If you want more information, you can tweet at me or tweet at Doug, and I'll probably push you to Doug and then he can give you more information on it.
Sounds good.
Natalie, you are up.
All right. Hey, guys. My name is Natalie Kiefer. I'm a pre-service teacher at University of Regina. I'm in my 5th year of 6. So I'm in the joint program, Bachelor of Kinesiology and Education. So this semester, I don't have too much experience in the schools yet. This semester I'm going in once a week in the afternoons, and then next fall will be my actual internship. My major is physical education. My minor is outdoor education. And yeah, I'm just passionate about hope subject areas, and I hope to one day be that positive role models that kids can look up to.
Awesome. Fantastic. I love it. And I love your energy and your enthusiasm. Plus, you're from Saskatchewan, so that's pretty cool, too. Nieves, you are up.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for letting me be here. My name is Nieves. I'm from Spain, where I started my studies about sports science 3 years ago. Now I'm United Kingdom and still studying about physical education and so on. And I don't have many experience in the school yet neither, but I hope one day it will be fine to be the future physical education that I'm very emotional and excited to be in the future. Yeah. Thank you.
We are so happy to have you. I'm so excited that we have somebody from Spain with us, and just to see another perspective that's out there. And the fact that you were willing to participate in this and take that risk is absolutely fantastic. You're going to be an amazing teacher. Just the fact that you're willing to participate in something like this, it can be a scary experience, but hopefully rewarding and an amazing opportunity. So thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
All right, then I will stop talking, and Doug, go for it.
Okay. Well, we have a bit of an agenda to go through, but we won't. We're not tied to it or anything. So, what we wanted to just chat for a little bit about first was just, what do you think that? So you're, both of you are pre-service teachers, and you've got a little bit different experiences. You're at different universities, but what do you think are the kind of the key elements or the essential elements that pre-service teachers need on their journey to becoming that master phys ed teacher? And we can, I'm not going to go and pick on either of you. I'm just going to let you jump in whenever you'd like. So Natalie's on the screen, so she can go.
Well, I definitely feel that a lot more practical experience is needed. It's really nice getting into the schools right off the start. I really like the U of R program because right in your first year in education, they send you out to volunteer in the schools for an afternoon, and it's really nice having that practical experience. Obviously, like the theory is important too and what you learn in your classroom from your profs, but definitely that practical experience, getting out there, getting the nerves shaken off, and just being more confident.
Yeah, I totally agree with her because practical is the most important thing, but also you have to be, it's very important how you are yourself. You are a passion person with your student, with your class, with every single thing you do in your life, in your work. If you love it, if you think about that, I think it make you be the professional person that you need to be for a master teacher. So practical and your own in the practice, I think, is the key.
And so is it, I mean, I felt that too when I was a pre-service teacher. I mean, the times when you're in the classroom or you're in the gymnasium or the activity center were the best kind of times. Mm-hmm. But if that's all you have, so you're just there, what else do you need? So when you're in that practice even, and you're still a student teacher, what kind of supports might you need there in terms of being able to look at what you're doing and reflect on it and change your practice and do that sort of thing?
I think you have to have a leader support, a mentor, or someone who guides you, but also you have to work so much at home. It means you have to think many experience you have before, or what could be happening, or how many students are you going to have. Doing some work and some planning at home is kind of important, and be very informed about what you are going to do or what you want to do.
Yeah, I agree. You need to definitely put in as much as you want to get out of it. What you want to gain from it, you have to work just as hard to get that from it.
Mm.
And definitely it helps having that role model and mentors to look up to and ask for advice and questions and
So let me ask you both this then. So in terms of your experience up till now, other than the practice stuff that happens in the schools, what's kind of the top two elements of your education that have been the most useful or the most impactful for you so far, other than the practice piece?
For me, probably the most useful thing that I have done in my 5 years of university is joining a Hope Association that we have on campus. It's a group of about 10, 15 of us, and it's called the Hope Association. It stands for Health, Outdoor Physical Education. And we have Prof. Lee Schaefer who helps lead us. And basically we just get together and we go out into the community, we help with after-school programs, and it's just really nice to collaborate with a group of like-minded individuals who are really passionate about the same thing, and that's probably what started expanding my personal learning network and really getting out there and getting more confident.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have much experience in the school, but I know someone who has it and someone who in class share with everybody how was it and what kind of experience or what kind of things was happening. So to listen them, to get some feedback from someone who did already, it's very useful for me. But I didn't have the experience in person yet. But
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
So that's interesting. Excuse me, because both of you basically stated that your professional learning network or even your personal learning network that's a critical piece.
Mm.
What I'm finding interesting so far is that none of you have mentioned anything to do with your formal education at university.
There's obviously been some very, very good classes, and I really love the passionate profs who are passionate about movement education, and it's really nice learning about like the gymnastics and dance aspects of it too.
Yeah.
And they're really trying to sway us away from just the sports.
Yeah. See, because from my perspective as one of those profs, like the courses that I teach are for elementary teachers who are going to be generalists. They're not going to be specialists, but they are required to teach phys ed as part of the government curriculum. So my challenge is I have 36 hours to talk with students and, to experience things, to practice things, to help them on the way to be the best phys ed teacher they can be. But it's 36 hours. And so, part of the reason I like to ask these questions of people like the two of you is to see what's critical. So when I hear things like these professional learning networks are important, then part of my job in that 36 hours is to steer people towards these professional learning networks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other thoughts on kind of these essential elements in your pre-service teaching?
I think it's good just to have those resources out there, and I like how, like on Twitter, how all the PE specialists, they'll be sharing like assessment tools, lesson plans that have been really successful, and it's just really nice to have that support from all different areas.
Yes, I agree. It's very essential to have one common place where sharing or anything, yeah, like Twitter or anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's good. So that kind of segues nicely into the next little piece. And I know Natalie, you're aware of this, and I've just kind of started a little bit another hashtag piece, but just hashtag 321PE. And I've kind of, the concept was to focus for pre-service teachers, to have a place to chat, to go through for pre-service teachers. But so right now it's wide open. I hoped that it would be kind of an organic process of becoming something that this community might need or use. So right now I have it happening on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of every month, and it's just during that day I'll post a topic and people can put up, and then I'll do a summary. But so far we've had very limited uptake, which is okay. So what I'm wondering is this potentially a mechanism that we could use, or is it better, let's say, if we had, what if we created a folder on Google Drive that pre-service teachers, that was specifically for kind of pre-service or new to teaching people, that we could share things with. So I'd just like to hear your thoughts on what, do we need another hashtag chat or not? Do we need something different?
I think you are doing good as you are doing, because it's one place where you can find all the information, and from all times and from now, and right now we are doing new things, and always you have more information to read about. So if you create a new one, could be good, but I think this one is already quite good. But maybe should be more information in university or in a school about this hashtag and make it more popular, I think. But I think it's alright.
Okay.
I think the hashtag 321PE will definitely be useful because I know this past week, or whenever it was, on Monday I think it was, the PE chat, I definitely tried to follow along exactly tweet for tweet, and it was a little overwhelming just because it's kind of intimidating. All these PE specialists, they know so much, and you're just being bombarded with information, and you're like, oh my god, that's awesome. But then if you have the 321 PE, then you know that everyone's in the same boat, and you can relate to each other better and be able to help each other out that way.
Okay, well that sounds good, and I think it's a matter of making it grow, and maybe the next topic for the 321 PE is just, and I started after talking with my students, and I've got 64 students this year, and I kind of polled the classes a little bit about what might be helpful, what might not. Some people are on Twitter, some are not. I've been pushing it hard, probably too hard, but it's just I do think, Natalie, your point about it can be a little overwhelming sometimes with stuff going on PE chat. It is nice, I've often just sat and just watched the stream and not commented at all, just because it's interesting watching it go. So, I think it's nice to have variety in different places to go, but from what I'm hearing, it's, it'd be good to keep developing the 321 PE as a pre-service resource and as that piece. So a couple ideas that we thought of in the class was to have, so we could invite someone like Naomi, or say Blue Jay Bridge, or somebody to come in and on that Thursday to maybe host and respond to people back and forth, or I can create a list of, here's all the tweets, I can send them to Naomi, and then she can do some responses perhaps. So there's a few different ways to make it go, but I didn't want to spend a lot of time talking about that today, because it's just something that we can keep in mind for later.
Can I jump in for a second on that one?
Yeah.
Just kind of what you all were saying too. I think it would be a great resource for pre-service teachers, because like Natalie was saying, the PE chat feed, and I've been part of PE chat feeds that you only have 1 or 2 people joining in, but that one on Monday was crazy. I was just oh, I can't keep up. I would jump in every once in a while, but I couldn't keep up with it. So to have a chat that's specifically dedicated to pre-service teachers, where, like you said, Doug, it brings one person in, and almost like having a live on-air hangout in your class, right? But it's something that they can do on their own time, and they can ask them questions. You could have a specific topic that you talk about, but I think it almost kind of takes PE chat but makes it into a little bit more structured, so that it's not as overwhelming, and slowly gets them into talking to certain teachers. So you could have Blue and I both come in, and we could talk about it, and we can have conversations with them. So I think it's a great idea personally, and that's I won't talk anymore. I will mute myself.
That's great, Naomi. Thank you. And so one last quick question on the 321 PE, but in terms of format, does it work to kind of have it twice a month, just the second and fourth, and then we kind of suggest a topic, or people can suggest some topic? Right now my class has just been suggesting topics, so and then kind of have a summary that's posted, and we can have further discussion on the summary if we want. How does that work for the two of you right now?
That definitely works for me. And it's nice, especially having that summary too, because if you do miss the chat, then you can just look back and check out the summary and see what you missed.
Yeah, same here. I had the same. When I miss anything, I go to there and I find everything.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for your feedback. I think we'll keep working on that. Have to recruit a Natalie and a Nieves to to work on it. I'm gonna have to change my name or something to one that starts with an N, because we got Naomi, Natalie.
Yeah.
I could be Nugent. You never know.
It sounds good.
Okay. So, and I know, so Nieves, you haven't been out in a school yet in terms of and had a mentor teacher, and Natalie, you've had an initial experience there.
Yeah, I've been to the school 3 times so far this semester.
Okay. So I think to some extent, maybe I'll switch this one around. We were going to talk a little bit about mentoring and how do you establish a good relationship with your mentor teacher. So maybe I'll just get your thoughts on how you would do that, and then what might you do if things go wrong. And I might give you a scenario partway through and just, you know what, I'm going to give you that scenario now instead.
Testing us.
So, yes, and so here's a situation that has happened, unfortunately, too many times to some of my student teachers, is that, you know, we're in the class, we're all pumped, and I'm talking about quality daily phys ed and the importance of movement and not using physical activity for punishment and all those things that we in the hashtag phys ed community do so well. And then they go out to the school and their mentor teacher goes, oh yeah, come on down to phys ed, and it's a grade 2 class and they're busy playing ball and the teacher is busy throwing balls at kids' heads and you know, and or they just don't care about phys ed, so they don't schedule it, and they're just not following the quality practice that you learned about in university from Lee Schaefer maybe. So as a student teacher, what do you do in that situation?
I feel like you maybe should just sit down with your mentor, co-op teacher, and just have an honest conversation with them. Kind of just explain what you're learning in university. Voice your opinion. I don't know, kind of explain the importance of like the health and the benefits of movement, and maybe even bring in, I don't know, a guest speaker, someone else to maybe try to relay the information to them. Try to just plant a seed in their head, I guess.
Nieves, what do you think?
Yeah, I think if you have any problem with your mentor, you have first to listen to him and share and try to understand, because usually nobody's wrong completely. So there will be one point in common you have with him or her, and I think you try to explain how is your theory, how is your idea, and probably you will find something in common. But I don't know, I didn't have a test, so.
Yeah, well, and it's a tough situation. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking in the background. I apologize. I'll hold my mic.
Your dog just has something that they want to say, so it's okay.
Yeah, he is very passionate about physical activity.
There you go.
He does prefer frisbee and ball games. He's not much of a dancer or a gymnast, so.
That's okay. That's okay. We all have different skills.
That's right. Anyways. What was I going to? Oh, okay. So when you're in that situation, it is a bit of a power relationship because your mentor teacher is evaluating you, adjudicating you. So you do have to be quite careful of that. If their philosophy is completely different from yours, you know, you're not going to change them overnight, and you also have to get through your student teaching. So not that you're going to compromise your values, but I like Nieves. I really like what you said about listening and trying to understand, and Natalie in terms of just being honest and going through. And I know I've had some students say, you know what, I would love to take over the next few phys ed classes and just teach it because I learned some stuff at I'm learning some things at university. I'd really like to try them out. Now, if they say no, you have to run it the way I do, you're a little bit stuck. But the thing is to kind of hang on to your ideas that you will eventually have your own classroom, and your own group and your own phys ed class, so you can do those things. But it is it can certainly be a difficult situation, especially if someone's philosophies don't align with yours.
Mm-hmm.
And so, kind of to piggyback on that one, how would you? So let's say you end up being in a school, whether you're now you're further down the road, this is your first year teaching, and you come into a school and you're pumped about phys ed and you're ready to go, and the principal is not very supportive of phys ed. You don't get much of a budget. The other staff are they're saying, well, we actually are going to have an extra language arts class today, or the kids were bad today, so I'm not sending them down to phys ed, and those kind of things. How would you advocate for that quality phys ed within an anti-phys ed environment?
Yeah, that's tough. I would.
Well, I never said I'd ask you easy questions. I just said I'd ask you questions.
I would just try to slowly incorporate and make changes that work with that specific school environment. Like maybe if they're like an arts-based school, that you could work in some form of like dance activity or gymnastics activity, like something that appeals to them more. And then, like I said earlier too, just bringing in other experts for guest speakers and just trying to bring out passion in people, like you guys do.
Yes. Yeah, I think if the environment is not quite good, or maybe children are not motivated, maybe you should ask them what they want. Mm-hmm. And you must know what they want, what they need, and you, by your possibilities to bring them, maybe it could be dance, as Natalie said, or anything, and then you have to choose and you have to think, and with passion and passion, because sometimes it's very hard, but you have to be patient and try and be there, never give up. And
mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that's where having that professional learning network or professional learning community is really, really helpful, because it can be hard when you're, so I'll use Natalie as an example because I know Lee, and so you hear all this good stuff from Lee, you know what it can be, you've seen quality phys ed, then you get into a school, but it's constantly hammered at you that, no, we just do all sports. We do that, we follow the seasons, we do that all the time, and that's just the way it is here. So especially if you're in a like a secondary phys ed position and you're part of a department, but then having that professional network outside, so being able to, to send a message on Twitter to Nieves and go, oh man, I'm really struggling with this girl in my department. She's just not receptive, and you can have that background discussion, right?
Yeah.
And I think some of it is just being, like if you put yourself in other people's shoes and you find out they may have some, especially if it's someone who's maybe not a phys ed person, but they're very anti or negative phys ed. I had a situation one year where the principal she just didn't seem to want to fund phys ed stuff. She was very hesitant. She was a wonderful lady, a very, very good principal. And so I finally went into her office and I closed the door and I said, we need to chat. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I said, I just find that, we're trying to do things in phys ed here and you seem very negative. So what's going on? And what came out is she used to be a band teacher, and she had this big fundraising thing, and the phys ed teacher at her school basically stepped in and took it over and really ticked her off. So she had this negative version of phys ed from this one experience. And I said, yeah, but I'm not that person. But for
Yeah.
her, she never really realized that she was putting that in. So we just had to have that conversation, right? And sometimes that works, and sometimes people just hang on to their beliefs. But it is important to have the those honest conversations and to listen. But I do think that professional learning network outside of where you are can be extremely important.
I agree.
Me too.
Okay. Let's shift a little bit to your own. So talking about supports and resources and things. So how there are a ton of resources out there for phys ed. There's lesson plans, there's websites, there's people sharing things on Twitter. It's all over. What are your kind of personal strategies? What do you use to kind of weed through and find the good stuff?
Personally, I read a lot of articles and blogs about physical education teachers who put in the blog what they are having in class, or even they put some feedback in the blogs, and I read how even the students reply them, or what they say, how they get it, Yeah, that's my experience, or even asking my teachers in person or anything.
Yeah, basically, I look for key topics or keywords that I'm specifically interested in, or if I need improvement on something, then I'll just try to search for that specific topic. And I really value the people I follow on Twitter, and they share a lot of information, so usually those resources that they're sharing are worth it to check out.
Yeah, yeah, and I really enjoy like there's a number of blogs that I follow that are kind of in the trenches teachers that are sharing things and like, hey, I tried this lesson today and it absolutely sucked.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. But here's what the kids said, and here's where I'm going. And it's so valuable because you get a little window into their lives, right? So linked with that, then how have each of you you both mentioned professional learning networks, but how have you gone about crafting that and expanding those well, professional learning communities is the term that I use, but the one I'm familiar with.
Well, my personal learning community, I guess it all began when my Hope Association in school hosted a PD day, and we had Spia, Shia, and Soia all come out. And then Naomi was one of the presenters there with Spia, and she really talked about, and others talked about, the online phys ed community on Twitter and blogging and all that. So I just got on Twitter, started following a couple people, and then yeah, they recommend other people to follow, so then you just keep following more people and just start talking to people, I guess.
Yeah, similar here. Just teacher in person told me, and people who I know in person told me, and then I check the Handstad and I check all the information, and then met Naomi, and yeah, like this. Similar.
Yeah. Well, it is really kind of an organic process, right? As you're crafting this, because you may meet people in a class that you connect with, and it might be a provincial organization or a state or like actually phys ed organization. It could be somebody like Spark that you go through, or a organization like Spark. But it is nice to have that mix, because I know, and this is going to date me a little bit, but I mean, when I started teaching, there was Twitter was non-existent, Facebook was non-existent. It was pretty much the teachers in your school. And the only way you saw, so for me, I was in a large junior high of 800, 900 kids, and it was myself and the female phys ed teacher, and it was just the two of us. And we never connected with teachers at other schools because we never had a chance. The only time I talked to teachers from other schools was when we were coaching and our teams would go over there to play. So now I was fortunate to have absolutely fabulous colleagues that we kind of pushed each other back and forth. But I think now it's so good to be able to tap into different people and whether it's through Google Drive or Twitter or the conferences and those kind of things. So I think, both of you are I think very well set up for your for your teaching careers. And I totally agree with Naomi's comment at the beginning that, the fact that you're both here and willing to do this and contributing is just awesome. So thanks to both of you for participating in here and jumping in and just being honest and sharing your experiences in different ways. So I think what we'll do now, our kind of last piece, is if there's any kind of questions from the back channel or any other pieces there that just kind of an open question chat, and we'll take it from there.
So we haven't had too many questions, more so comments throughout the process. But Natalie, did you want to talk about your idea that you had about that PLC group with phys ed, did you want to maybe have a talk about your idea? I don't want to steal your thunder. And I don't think you had mentioned it, because you had said that to me the other day about like with different universities and kind of, I'll just maybe let you talk about that.
Are you talking about getting like just a group of like-minded people together just to discuss?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, I think it would be great to just gather a bunch of people who are all passionate about the same subject areas like health, outdoor, and physical education, and just have face-to-face interactions if you can. Like if you can get together, that would be great. Just discussing like what's working, what isn't working, like what kind of feedback they're getting, if they have any awesome lesson plans or assessment strategies. I think it would just be great just to meet up with people, just like, because I went to the Student Leadership Conference in Ontario, and it was just amazing meeting so many people from across Canada, and it just fueled the fire, I guess, like you guys talk about. So it'd be nice to get some people together just like this. It's not too bad, like it takes some organizing and planning, but once you do it, like people are just so excited about it, and
Yeah, and you're saying how you wanted to do that with like pre-service teachers. Am I correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that'd be a really neat thing to do, kind of like what Andy Vassie was doing with the whole PEPLIC community, the physical educational professional learning community that was going on. He had started that last summer, and PEPLIC 2.0 is coming out, so shout out to Andy and the whole crew that was working with that. I was able to be a part of that, and I was able to be a learning leader and have conversations with people from Canada and the States, in North America, and there's groups all across the world that were just having conversations about things that they're passionate about. So my group was assessment and technology. Technology was something I felt like I had a fairly strong hold on, and assessment was something that I wanted to try and improve upon because I didn't have the grasp of it that I wanted. So to create a professional learning community amongst pre-service teachers would be an amazing thing, and have universities across across Canada or across North America or across the world that are having these conversations. The same things are being taught, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we're all learning the same things. We might be learning them in a little bit of a different way, but that's just like how we teach, right? But why can't we have conversations, and why can't we build up that professional learning community amongst the pre-service teachers ahead of time so they have that support when they go out into teaching? Our colleagues are fantastic people to talk about, but they're crazy busy too. And sometimes they don't understand what you're going through. Whereas with a pre-service teacher, I mean, I did my pre-service teaching 5 years ago. So, it would have been great to be able to have conversations and be like, hey, this is what I'm going through. What do you think? Not to have a vent session, but to say, hey, I need some support. And what are you doing in your classroom? And what does this look like? So all those questions that Doug, you were asking them, like having those discussions as a group. And it doesn't have to be a planned thing. It doesn't have to be set questions, but just say, hey, let's meet up, every couple weeks and just see how things are going. Or, even if it's just 2 classes and you get to pair up, you have groups that you set up. I mean, that would be really neat if we could have, university professors that would be willing to try and get their classes involved in something like that. I think that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in.
Yeah. I will start sending messages to any professors on Twitter that I know of.
That's right. Well,
but Antonio, are you in? You're in? I know you're listening.
Well, Natalie, it's interesting because there are about 5 or 6 universities in Alberta now that are degree granting in education. And we've been having conversations about trying to connect the student groups. So some have a phys ed student group, like I started one at MacEwan a number of years ago. I haven't started one yet at U of A, but it's in the works. But to maybe try and connect at least those organizations. So to have your Hope Association connect with our, I'm never going to come up with a better acronym than that though, but it's pretty awesome. But to have a Google Hangout with Hope and the U of A crew, and to do that, to allow these conversations, and then you can always connect with people further. But to have something like that, I think is a brilliant idea. It just builds your professional network, and like Naomi said, it's an opportunity to connect with someone who's in the same space you are, right? Having some of the same experiences.
Mm-hmm. And if we do, like if our Hope Association connects with the MacEwan one, like you never know where you're going to end up in 5 years. You might be at the same school as one of those people who you met up with 5 years prior.
Well, exactly, and it's some interesting connections, because you get, like even say someone like Lee, so one of your profs, who was a former Student Leadership Conference grad, did his degree at U of R, but then ended up coming to Edmonton to teach. I met Lee in a class at U of A, but now he's back in Saskatchewan, so we connect all the time. But so you're exactly right. You don't know where you're going to end up. Those connections that you make, whether it's with different profs at different universities, different people, it's really important. So I think this is one that we shouldn't let die. We should explore it, and maybe we can at least explore a connection between the U of A and U of R in some way, shape, or form next term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think with this, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to mention that to Lee in class on Tuesday, that we got to connect with your kids.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I was also going to say, too, it'd be really neat to kind of incorporate that with your 3-2-1 PE somehow. And get more involved in it. Yeah. Nieves, do you have anything, now I can't remember if this was discussed or asked, but do you have any kind of like the Hope Association or any groups, or is it like cohorts, or do you have like groups with how, like are you with the same people in your undergrad classes, or do you have different people in each class, if that makes any sense?
Well, we don't have a group, but we have some group of investigation in my university, and in that group they talk and they make investigation about physical education or about new things. So they are students from our career but different years, so we can discuss with the teacher and what is the new things happening. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it'd be neat to even set something up like worldwide like that too, because the connections that you can make, I mean, you have how many people traveling internationally that are teaching, but to be able to set people up ahead of time, if that's something that they're interested in doing, to make those connections ahead of time would be amazing, right? So that would be kind of cool too. We did have a question on today's meet. Has anyone recorded their own lesson and put it out there to share with other teachers or to create a discussion?
I have not.
No.
I always encourage my students when they go out to record themselves, but in terms of posting it, you deal with all sorts of issues because of having students in there.
Yeah.
And so the freedom of information stuff, the FOIP, it gets really dicey. Even for videoing students for your own use, it's very hard. So I don't know that there's that piece. I think, again, I'd go back to the example of people blogging about and sharing an experience and kind of self-critiquing, and they could even post a lesson plan along with that. But in terms of a video of them actually teaching, I think it'd be hard.
Yeah. Yeah, you would have to really work on the permissions. I know, like, at our school, we have our students signing an acceptable use policy, right? And so using devices, and then also, sharing permission, because we have like our website that we put pictures up on. So they have to sign that in order to, and I don't think we've had, well, no one's told me that we haven't had anybody that said no to that. So, but then you'd have to be like, this is what we're using this for. Are we allowed to use it, right? Because some people might just think it's up on the website. But if you could find the permissions for that, that would be absolutely amazing, to be able to showcase somebody's lesson. And somebody willing to say, okay, here's my lesson, let's critique. Be nice, but let's critique it, right? Provide me some feedback on this. Like, just like, I mean, you're going to have, you know, your superintendents or your directors or depending on, you know, the title that you use, your principals, you're going to have people coming into your class to observe you the first couple years. The past 3 years I have, because my first year I was in one division, and then my last 3 years, but my last 2 years, I was in another division. So for the past 3 years, I've had somebody coming in and out of my class the whole time, which actually I really enjoy, which I would love to have all the time. Like, have somebody come in a couple times a year and just observe me. Don't tell me you're coming in. Make it a surprise. I'm okay with that. And just give me some feedback on what I'm doing, because I can't improve if I can't see what's happening all the time, right? So I might have missed something that was happening, and for you to be able to pick it out and tell me, amazing. To be able to videotape your lesson and go back and see it would be an amazing thing, and to be willing to share that with the community would be kind of neat. So something to think about for sure.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting.
Oh, sorry. You can go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Natalie.
Okay. I like how, Naomi, you said that, like, when you're teaching, you can't see everything, because in my education class this semester, we're going out to our schools with partners. So when we're teaching, our partner is observing not how we're teaching and not how they think we can do better, but they're observing the students and what the students are doing. Like, when we are teaching, we have to ask our partner to observe, like, okay, you don't want to just ask, are my students paying attention? And it's not a yes or no question. You want your partner to say, your students were paying attention because they were all making eye contact with you. They were focused. They were writing down notes. They were doing what they were told to do, and they weren't, like, out of place kind of thing. So it's nice having that partner observing the students, because, like you said, you can't watch every student when your back is turned.
Right, and the neat thing about it too is that I can't control everything that happens in my class as much as I want to, but to be able to understand and see what's happening without actually seeing it, but to get the feedback on it, because lots of things that I do with my students, the reason why my students are acting that way is because how I'm teaching them. Like, I remember my very first year I came to Star City, I had one student in my class that just can't sit still, right? Just always moving, always moving. And what I would do is I would go into the classroom, I would talk and write on the board what we were doing for the day, which would take 5 to 7 minutes, sometimes 10, because I like to talk. And it was so hard for this student to sit there and listen to me talk. So my superintendent came in and was observing me, and, you know, had some great things to say, but said, maybe you need to change up what you're doing instead of trying to change the student behavior. And it was like and I was just like, what I'm doing, like, I feel like I'm doing a good job, you know, and I took it personally, but then after I reflected, and I was like, well, duh, right? If the kid's moving right away, jump in, okay, this is what we're doing, quick, you know, this is our warm-up, and then we're going to head to the whiteboard, and then I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. We line up, we go to the gym, we go straight into our warm-up, the kid gets moving, they're ready to go, they have that time to focus, right? I know how important moving is to students and for their focus, and for them to be able to focus and for them to learn. Let's get them moving first, so I can talk to them at the board for 2 minutes, and then we go back. I have on my in my gym, I have our big score clock up there counting down the minutes. So that kid, that student, watches the clock and says, I'm like, yeah, I have 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. Whenever it starts to listen, you have 2 minutes. And then they tell me when I'm done. You're done talking. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
You don't know what I said, but all right, let's go try it out, and then let's come back and talk about it. So that really keeps them on task. So having that conversation, having somebody be able to tell me, and even though I didn't want to hear it at the time, made sense. So it's a powerful thing.
Yeah, it is. Anytime you can have someone else come in and watch you, and or you can go in and, I mean, you also learn so much. I find it fun. We often do these big PD things, and you got to go off-site and listen to speakers and this kind of stuff. Whereas really, like, I would love to spend a day following Naomi around in her school and seeing what she does, because I learn stuff. No, absolutely. And like, but then we can have a discussion about it afterwards, and we both learn from it, because I might question a practice. I might say, well, Naomi, why do you, like, I notice kids are running all over your gym at the beginning, and it doesn't seem, you know, it doesn't seem productive. And you're like, well, no, they need to run off that energy, and they need to go here. And so you have those discussions, but we never have the time to do that. And I do this in my own teaching now at university. Like, I went and watched someone else's class doing their gymnastics, because I love gymnastics, but I'm like 6'5" and 240, so I'm not really a gymnastics frame. So as Natalie knows, when I went in and did gymnastics with Lee. But but there are still lots of things you can do. So the other person that was teaching is a former gymnast, and she's done all this stuff. And I actually got nothing new from gymnastics from her, but what she did in her activity classes is she stops every 15 minutes or so and goes, okay, if you need to go write some notes or go do that. And I was just like, well, yeah, why don't I do that in my class? I just kind of go, and we're all doing stuff, and nobody gets a chance to write things down. So, you learn so much watching other people, watching yourself. So having that kind of connection would be really cool. I was going to mention too, there are some. I know Everactive Schools in Alberta here has some. They're not so much a whole lesson, but it's doing activities with kids, and so they're splitting them into groups and doing these activities. So there are some of those up there. But that'd be an interesting. I'm going to bring that up with them too, because I know they're doing a physical literacy in residence program right now, and so they're having kind of a master teacher go into a school and teach lessons and do different activities with the teachers and kids there. So it'd be neat to see if they could do some of that perhaps too.
That'd be really cool. Okay, well, I think we're getting close to the end here. So does anybody have any last things to say before I conclude our session?
I have a question. In your classroom, so not your gym, like not your phys ed classes, but in your classroom, when the students are sitting in their chairs, have you guys ever used any like gadgets or fidgets that they can play with, or say instead of a desk, sit on an exercise ball or a rocking chair or anything like that?
Yeah, I have. That's one of the things that I've been really trying to focus on this year. I read, and Doug knows this because we're kind of working together, but I started a project at my school, and it's like called the Active Literacy Project, and that's with my younger students. But stemming from that is that I've tried to incorporate that into my classes, because my kids sit there, and kids sit for like how many hours a day? I can't sit for how many hours a day? Like even right now, I'm sitting on my chair, and I kind of want to stand up and move, right? And I can't sit still. So how can I expect my students to sit still? So one of the things that we've been trying to do at our school is like incorporate our brain boosters. Not brain breaks, because it's not a break for the brain, but it's a booster to help us focus. So we incorporate brain boosters. So we're doing like just dance, or using Go Noodle, or just like activity breaks. Get into like, okay, everybody stand up, go into push-up position, and they all get a beanbag, and you're playing hockey, hand hockey, right? So back and forth. Or you're doing a tug-of-war where you're trying to pull the person over. And then sometimes try to incorporate it into my teaching. Okay, so, think, pair, share. Stand up, balance on one foot, and talk about polynomials, right? What is the definition of polynomial? Tell your partner, right? So trying to incorporate that movement, or doing some type of, assessments with your students. So, if you think, so give them like multiple choice. So if you're doing a review, if you think it's this answer, go to that corner. If you think it's this answer, go to that corner. Go to that corner, go to that corner. And now discuss it with your group as to why you think it's that answer. And then we come together as a group and say, okay, here's the answer. It's not a shame if you got the wrong answer, but let's talk about why you got the wrong answer. Where was that misunderstanding, right? So having them move and trying to incorporate that into our teaching. So not just even throwing those brain boosters in, and that kind of token piece just to get them to move, but how can we incorporate that into our lessons? So I also have them sitting on exercise balls too. We only have 4 of them, but it works. And eventually I'd love to try and get like a little exercise, like those desks, exercise bikes, or desks, or I have a whole bunch of thoughts and ideas and plans. It just takes money and it takes time and to do it. But those are some of the things that I'm trying to incorporate just for my students' sake. And if we don't do brain booster, they're like, Ms. Hartle, you forgot about the brain booster? So I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, so we gotta get one up, let's go. So they let me know. They let me know for sure. Yeah.
But you make a couple of good points, Naomi, because there is a time and a place for those brain boosters. And, you see the kids' energy kind of going down and, okay, let's move. But then just having these things embedded, having some kinesthetic learning and some kinesthetic processes embedded in your classroom situation is really good. And it might be the exercise balls. I mean, I'm working on trying to set up kind of a model classroom at the university where we would have kind of group centers in the middle, stand-up desks around the side, exercise balls, some bikes along the back, some of that stuff, because I want to style for our teachers right now what you could do in your classroom. And it can be as simple as taking those exercise band stretchy things and tying them across the front legs of the desk so kids can push with their legs.
That's my ideal classroom right there. That is what I want. That is what I want to work up towards.
And then,
that'd be amazing.
I don't know if any of you, did you read the blog? I posted it Oh, I retweeted it on Twitter. It was on Grant Wiggins'
Yes.
blog
Yep.
about
I think
the.
I had like 2,000 views, or no, sorry,
Oh.
like 12,000 views just on that blog post. I was like, I didn't even write it. I just retweeted it. And
I know, it was awesome because just that idea, and it was so amazing that, the number one thing she noticed is that kids just sit
Yep.
all day, and this is high school,
Yeah.
but, I often point to, when I talk to my students too, I often point to kindergarten teachers because I think kindergarten teachers are the most innovative, awesome people out there because they naturally do all this stuff, and you want to wave and say hi? But they naturally do stuff with stations, with kids kind of being engaged all over the place, and they do it really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And it's just, so for pre-service teachers, if you could go into, your kindergarten teacher's classroom and, check out what they're doing, that would be a really great, person or educator to check out, right? Just to try and see how they do it and model it into your classroom. That would be really fantastic. That's a great idea. I'm going to do that next week, hopefully. Norma, if you're watching, I will be contacting you.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Awesome. Okay, any last final words or questions or anything else that we want to talk about? Oh, and yeah, I will share that link. We just had a question on there if we could share that link to that Grant Wiggins. I believe it was Grant Wiggins that had posted that.
Yeah,
It was about another teacher. Yeah, it was about another teacher that had gone in. So yeah. We'll post that link to that blog post because it's amazing. I think he had like 127 views in like a couple days. It just blew up.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah.
Hey, Nieves, I have a quick question for you.
Okay.
So you're going to school in the UK,
Yeah.
but you're still living. So do you go back to Spain in the summers then, or do you stay in the UK?
No, my idea is staying 1 year here
Okay.
and check the difference. Even I'm having already so many feedback different from Spain. I have my point of view is getting bigger, which
Okay.
I like it so much. Yeah, I think it's very useful for me. Yeah.
Oh, for
But
sure.
only 1 year at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. I just asked because I'm hoping to be in Madrid and some of Spain next July. So
Oh, nice.
if you're back there, then we'll have to connect.
Yes, for sure. Why not?
See,
Nice.
and that's the amazing thing about having these opportunities, right? Like you get to connect with people that you would have never thought to connect with. So getting
Yeah.
pre-service teachers involved in something like this would be an amazing thing. Like just, right? I mean, for job purposes, for one, right? I mean, everybody, you go to school to get a job, right? And but to connect and be able to support you in your teaching would be amazing. So I just want to say thank you to all three of you for being a part of this conversation. It's been great, and I've had such a great time, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And I'm just going to share the link here before I forget to the, now I've never done this before, so time out. I'm going to try to share the link to, when you add them, I would like to add them. Okay, maybe I won't. How about this? I will instead share my screen, and I will pop up the Phys Ed Summit, so the certificate. So if you want to, I don't know, can everybody see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's pop that up there. It looks pretty small, but okay, that's fine. So you can just go to bit.ly/capital PHYS capital E ed or capital ED Summit Certificate. You can spell it. You know how to spell it. So just go to bit.ly Phys Ed Summit Certificate and fill that out, and that's our survey. And then if you get that, if you complete the survey, then you'll automatically get emailed a certificate of your PDU hours. So, or you could scan that QR code. I use the Enigma app, I-N-I-G-M-A, and it's awesome. So I'll put that up there here for if you want to quickly write it down if you need your that certificate of completion. And we'd love your feedback on the whole Phys Ed Summit conference here as well. So thank you to everybody who were able to view today. We really appreciate it. And Doug, Natalie, and Nieves, I can't say how amazing this experience has been, and just to say thank you. So
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
thanks.
It was very interesting to listen you all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll just end broadcast here. So thank you very much to our viewers.
All right, thanks.